So next Monday in the afternoon, we have free response questions, 5 and 6 for you guys, 5 and 6. Well, 6 is always on chapter 8/9, largely 9. So here's some chapter 8 and 9 topics to review. Again, the test is in the afternoon, yes. Convergence tests in P series, and you grouped all of that in chapter 9, so I consider it was chapter 9. But that will be the last piece of your fourth quarter tests and things. Raw scores for problems 1 to 4 are in, and the curved combined score of problems 1 through 3 are in. Yeah, now you're all gonna check. Go ahead. It was in 5 days ago.
I checked this morning at 7 hours ago. It wasn't in, so.
Okay.
Is that good, bad? I don't know. It's okay.
So that effort was not worth it. I'm sorry, I didn't really try that hard.
Okay, so, in reading those from yesterday, a couple of people still haven't taken it, but, in later classes, so everyone in here is taking it. Guys, yeah, we'll talk about it, Wednesday next week, but some of them, the rubric said, if they do not use limits anywhere on this thing that requires limits, the most they can get is 1 point, and that's if they did everything correctly without limit. Like, that was the L'Hopital's thing. If you didn't test things with a limit on it, and then you didn't then do L'Hopital's with a limit on it, but you still got 4/3, yay, you got 1 point. So some of you demonstrated you understood the math, but they're not gonna give you the points depending on how you wrote things. So we will talk about that Wednesday next week. So next week you have this class Monday, Wednesday, and then supposedly school is normal on Friday, but I'm expecting locusts or a water main break or something, so that's cool. But your AP exam is actually the Monday after. Yes, a weekend. Anyway, I hate problems, yay.
Oh, yeah. Are you welcome to see it? I didn't see that.
Yes.
The A is so bad, it's just so and so because like -5 in the parentheses, 5 that's something that is like always there is that'll like what? Oh, that's like it's like oh, evaluate that so then divide by I think how you do it is you just isolate for the source of it. You multiply by the n factorial and then you divide by like the other piece and then
So I'm just trying to find a derivative, is that what's done?
Yeah.
Third derivative.
The third derivative. So that'll be also negative 3x cubed over 5. That term.
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Think about it this way, right? Okay. You take a number two, right? Number one, right? Go. Okay.
I'm only telling you that
Yeah,
it
4,
diverges
then
in negative.
there's -1, and then 9. That goes 5 away. But what if it's conditional? What if it's conditionally converges? What if it converges at 9, but
-2 is out of the range.
exactly, so you must diverge up.
Out of this range.
If that's the side, 5 is your range.
Oh, because -1 is conditional. Or no, -1 is divergent to
Yeah,
one side, so it's
Yeah, exactly, so 9 is either converges.
anything past that, anything past that.
That's your maximum range. And
Oh,
So this could also.
If you said like convert really high ones, like -1, then you could say that.
the reason
No, you could just say the x increase that are negative.
And on the other direction.
Oh, then you can say like there's.
I think it's not just because we don't know that it actually has range. The maximum range.
3 factorial.
And then I
But you were right, if it was like
Wait.
if it diverges at negative 1.
Maybe that's the first one, so let's scroll up so people can see the bottom problems and read just like.
-3
Oh, yeah, that's right.
just plug in. 3 factorial.
So the thing that they gave us here, this really matters. There was a
Okay, Taylor series to generate any particular coefficient, it's that nth derivative x minus the center to the n over n factorial. So that we wanted the third derivative at the center, x minus the center, which is 0 because it's Maclaurin, to the third over 3 factorial, divide by x cubed, multiply by 3 factorial, which is 6. 6 times -3 divided by 5. Good. And notice the red herring, they will always put that in front. And the actual answer later. Just to see who took the bait. Number 4 we were talking about over here. Where is this centered? 4. And diverges at -1. That's all I'm telling you. Does it converge at 5 units this way? It might not, I don't know. But this is asking what has to be true. Does it converge at 9? Does it diverge at 9? I don't know. Does it converge at 3? I don't know. Maybe it only works at the center. Maybe it's one of those that gotta be right at 4 and nowhere else. This guy at -2, if it didn't work at -1, is it gonna work if we go farther away? No, so this is the right answer. Okay. This one, Cameron, what is cosine of x expansion, just cosine x? Is it an even function or an odd function?
Oh, even.
Even, so it's gonna have all the even powers. What is the first even power that we're gonna use?
0.
X to the 0, so that's 1 minus x squared over 2 factorial plus x to the 4th over 4 factorial, Clara, do you remember how we deal with, like, that's cosine of x, how do I do cosine of stuff?
You just replace x with stuff.
Replace x with stuff, so cosine of 3x squared as my stuff. They're not saying put in x to the 4th, they're saying when you do this replacement and expansion, find that coefficient of x to the 4th. So here we have a negative, it's gonna be one of those two. 3 squared, 9 x to the 4th over 2. Yeah. On the quiz and the test related to this, you guys refused to do this kind of shortcut. So if it is a simple little monomial thing, just plug it in and do that. They're not expecting you to do 4 derivatives to then get this value. Okay. So a real question 6, give it a try.
Oh, no.
All right, it's easier to do if you actually get out paper and write stuff. What IB exam is today? Or AP exam? Environmental was yesterday, right? Just missing more people. There's none today. It's unusual that 4 of you would be out then. Any takers?
Plug in and.
The hard work's really interesting.
Do you want me to show the work or just look at it?
I mean, well, put the solution up, and if there's something that needed to be explained, explain.
It's still plug in one as well. The first ignore, which is the 4 equals 0 factorial.
Can't have a negative, they would do something with a 2 type, but then with 2 times 4, 2 is not 4. It doesn't include the number, so let me forget it. What do you?
Why would you do that?
You did it over.
It's over. Let it come back. What was your joke? My joke. Yeah, I didn't say.
That is wrong.
I think the thing is, you can cancel these factorials because n minus 1 factorial is just. Yeah, that's just an n. Because like if you think about it, it doesn't make sense. It's like 3, 1, you know. I was thinking about kind of
Okay, what do you guys think? So the function at 1 is 1, so those guys match up. The first derivative of the function is -1/2, so the coefficient here of the x minus 1 to the first term is negative 1/2. And then, so those are non-zero, so we needed 2 more. And
You can get rid of one of the -1 to the end.
negative 1 to the ends.
Yeah, because that'll just make it all positive, so if you replace one of them.
Replace one of them, I don't see 2.
Well, I mean, like, I just said like multiply by the derivative since
Oh.
you do that anyway.
Okay, okay.
It's not.
So we get 1 minus 1/2 times x minus 1 plus 1/8 x minus 1 squared, and then minus 1/24 x minus 1 to the third, dot, 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 now the general term. What a lot of people miss on this, you guys stop reading there and you don't do the general term. You could do it because you didn't read the question. So then general term, they are leaving it like, so he's saying pick all this up. He said don't include that twice. So the derivative times x minus 1 to the n over n factorial, with all of that there. And minus 1 factorial and 2 to the n. Is that what you say? They reduced the n minus 1 and the n factorial to just be an n below. Don't know if you need to. Grading of this, 4 points in that first step. You got the first 2 terms correct, and then a point for the third term, so basically they're checking to see if you know how to do this. And the fourth term, they're checking to see if you did the factorial correctly. And then general term. Any question? No?
I like got the answer they wrote with like the to the n times n, but like when I plug in 0 for n, because like the 0 term is 1,
This, their thing here about, and this is the pattern for the derivative once n is 2.
Oh, okay.
So they know, and they said, this doesn't work until we get to n equals 2. Okay with part A? You guys get a chance to do part B, or what does it mean? What is it asking you to check? The endpoints, which are going to be where? -1 and 3. Right there, like if you can identify that that's what it's asking you to do, you get a point for just saying, I know these are the endpoints I need to check out. So, and I erased all the polynomial that Martin found. So, looking at it, the polynomial that we got if you plug in that -1 and plug in +2, look at the numbers that you get that spit out. And like to see and understand the pattern, you really need to look at the numbers. Plugging in -1, we get that harmonic series. Again, you don't need to use the word. You can just say that looks like P series and it diverges. At the other endpoint, it alternates. And by calling it a harmonic series, possibly they get away without having to say its terms are less than or equal to the one before, and the last term goes to 0, and it's alternating. Therefore, by alternating series test, it converges. So an equal sign on the 3 and a negative and an open on the other. But you get a point just to say, I know this is what you're asking me to do. I will check the endpoints, and then if you're like, I don't know how to check the endpoints, you still don't want it to 2. Okay. If you don't get part A right, part C is really hard. They don't normally do things that are gonna be double jeopardy, but, just plug in 1.2. This is non-calculator, so it might be a pain. They said use the first 3 non-zero terms. All right, looking at part D, why did they say only use 3 when they asked us to generate 4?
To make our lives easier.
Yes, what?
To make our lives easier.
Yes, to make your lives easier, how do we find error term? Is this geometric, alternating, or Lagrange error that you have to do? Alternating, and either way, alternating and Lagrange, what is the maximum error? First ignored term. So it said use the first 3 that you created and then save that 4th one as the error term. Grady, you're giving it a look. No. So your 4th term, where did it go? Up here. That's our 4th term. Plugging in 1.2 to find the error. And yeah, they expect you to do these without a calculator, and again, I must have said it enough because you guys are starting to leave things on the free responses like, here you go, you said this is okay. 27 minus 4, I am not doing it. Ah, okay, true. Yeah, I would have left it there. But the error term, the last one we didn't use, if they ask you to show that it does in fact is less than 1/1000 like this, go from decimal to the fractions, like 2/10. You can do 10 cubed pretty easily. And this 2 reduces with those 2's, like there's things to help. Anyway. Impossible? Scary? This was 2016. If that matters to you. 2016 also had a very mean related rates question. I don't want to do this one, but all the problems we've done here, it was a cone. Is this a cone? Looks like a cone. What is this actually? It's a funnel. And why is that a big deal? In a cone, the radius to the height ratio stays similar because it makes a similar triangle and they stay proportional. In a funnel, it doesn't. Like, I think all of my students got this one wrong because they're like, oh, it's a cone. It's gonna be, and it's not true. So it did not go well. However, class average was at 4.8, so they did fine. I don't know, gross. I don't know, okay, problem 5 is often a wild card. Problem 5, if they haven't asked you about doing Euler's method yet, they will. If they haven't done something related to L'Hopital's yet, they will. So the topics that are on free response are things where they want to see notation. There might be a chapter 8 thing where they ask you to evaluate the integral to infinity, and they're notationally asking you to pull the limit off and do that. And L'Hopital's, they are requiring that you pull the numerator out with a word limit on it and the denominator checking limits and stuff. But 3 years ago and last year, some versions had some of chapter 8 and 9 on question 5 as well as question 6. So, not wishing that upon you, just a warning that it might happen. Yeah. I don't know. Don't want to do all these. Okay. Try the interval of convergence. What do we get? And that's A sub n. Grady, can you see? National, yeah?
You know for sure because if oh, wait, it's not.
First, you need to get into the side ratio test is put against the value limit. They do it until they, it's actually geometric though. What it means first step. It's supposed to be when it says find the interval, what test we're supposed to do. So that's not finished. Start. Yep. So doing interval convergence, they are asking you do the ratio test. And this one is ugly. So the n plus 1 term. Okay, n plus 1 instead of n on all of those, divided by the nth term. Okay. And they put absolute value bars on it in the midst of their solving the limit. Whatever the case, in ratio test, whatever comes out, slap that in to your absolute value and do what with it? So squish it between -1 and +1. So when does that, when is that less than 1? Squishing it between -1 and 1 makes it actually go between -3 and 3, subtract the 1, and then it becomes off-centered. Well, then it becomes centered at -1 instead of 0. Are we done? Is that our interval? Hadley, what do we need to do? Check the endpoints. Brooke, do you know what we need to do to check the endpoint?
Plug it in.
Plug that -4 in for x, and then all the other junk, and then do the test again. Josh, does it work for -4 when we plug in?
I said it didn't.
Sorry,
I said it didn't,
it did not, because why?
because the negatives would be matching, so it would always be positive.
The negatives would be matching and they'd always be positive. Yep. However, yeah.
Silly question, but why do the absolute value bars go on there? What, what makes that happen?
You can put them on later, but they need to be, okay. If I have a string of numbers, and I tell you it's geometric, how are you going to find the thing that you are multiplying by each time? So either we're going to do b minus a, or minus divide c over b, or d over c. Like, if it's geometric, taking the next one down the line and dividing by the current one, that'll give you the ratio, right? And then if that ratio is less than 1, it'll convert because it's a geometric thing, and it'll converge to the first term over 1 minus r. Okay, so ratio test, what we just did here, wasn't really geometric, but at infinity, the thing that scored it out, it looked like we were multiplying by 1/3 x plus 1. So if it was truly geometric, let's test if that is, what x values make that thing less than 1. Like if I put in 0 for x, 1/3 is less than 1, that'll work. If I put in 1 for x, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2/3, that also works. We're not asking you to check like all the numbers that are numbers. We want you to actually do the arithmetic of checking, okay, all the x values, it was -4 to +2, whatever, -2, and then test the endpoints to see, could I also include those? And testing the endpoints is usually a lot of work, and you guys are like, it's just 1 point, what's it matter? What if you were that endpoint and you really, really wanted to be included? Wouldn't you be sad? No? Anthropomorphizing the math is not working for you? Okay.